And then I lightly fried them. So we
lightly fried fish fillets.
Lightly fried fish fillets. Lightly fried fish fillets.
Lightly fried fish fillets.
I am lightly fried myself.
Just lightly.
On our way to burnt.
On our way to high.
And then burnt.
All right, welcome to Ideology Podcast, the podcast that talks about everything and nothing.
When you wiggle your lips, like...
It's better for the flow if you got to make out with the smoke.
I have to roll my tongue to like push it out.
You have to roll your tongue for a lot of things.
That's
Whoa,
fair.
now.
Yeah.
This is a kid's show.
No, it is not.
Oh, shit, I'm in the wrong room.
A, B, C, D, E, F,
D is
I.
for penis.
Exploited, deleted.
Your laugh needs WD-40.
Hang on, I got some dry lubricant in here somewhere.
Some Teflon dry lube.
And he does. And he's got...
I got some silicone lube over there.
See, now that's better for buttholes.
Yes, because it won't dry on you. You don't need dry buttholes.
You know what you need is a moist butthole.
Moist butthole.
You had to throw in the butthole.
Of course I did.
He's
better.
the ass man.
It's better than dry.
Moist has been coming up a lot in our conversations here.
Shit.
Oh my.
Anytime it comes up, moist.
It's become just like To Be Fair.
Oh, to be fair.
To be fair.
To be fair.
But speaking of terrible things in humanity
Humanity.
Right?
is just terrible in
The
itself.
ugliest thing on the planet.
People are the worst kind of people.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just constantly, every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how many times my neighborhood app goes
What
off
did I do?
or Spokane News on Facebook.
Oh.
You know, shooting this, shooting that. Someone's held up in a home.
Stabbing, hit and run.
I
know. There's times I have to put myself on a news blackout because it's just
Why do you think I don't watch it?
one good story does not negate the 10 bad ones I just heard about.
I'm glad we don't have cable TV.
Mm-hmm.
We do everything off of, Netflix and Hulu like most people do.
Yeah.
I won't watch the news. I've never watched the news, but I mean, Spokane News comes up in my Facebook feed, and I like to stay kind of current with what's going on because some of the things that
stay informed.
I like to stay informed.
Right.
Some of the things that go on in Spokane, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, person's naked in the intersection talking into a hairbrush. I'm like,
naked lady running down the road with a machete.
Covered in mustard.
They're always naked.
where's the doughboy?
No, I'm the same way. I do. I follow the Spokane News on Facebook pretty heavily because
They are such a good team.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, some of the stuff it's like, what do you mean SWAT was called out? What?
We had SWAT down the street and the bomb squad.
Mm-hmm.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah.
But I get alerts from AOL and from Google and just news in general, CNN, and I had to block it all because it's just I can't.
Unsubscribed. I have Facebook now buried in my apps. Like it's no longer one of my home screen apps. It's buried in a folder, and I have it set on an app timer, 30 minutes a day,
Nice.
because that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I've cut my Facebook time considerably down because it's always just the same shit and it's just full of crap.
Yeah.
But then I have also the smart notifications that automatically come in through my phone, which give me, world news in a sense. And like I saw things the other day, I think there was a school shooting in Michigan. And, I just see stuff all the time, or that whole Astro World event that happened where there's like 9 people died and hundreds got trampled. I'm like, holy
How
crap.
the fuck does this happen?
Yeah, I heard about the shooting when I was at work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and like, you get the alerts. Looks like the Supreme Court may be overturning Roe v. Wade. And it's like, I can't. It's just, it's too much.
And with how stacked the Supreme Court is, it's a very real threat.
And It's just one bad thing after another. Said you may get one good piece of news, person saves cat from tree. 25 people died in a freak accident. It's like,
we could go for hours talking down that rabbit hole of Facebook algorithms and how those things are tracked and put in front of you and whatnot, and how it's kind of sometimes a self-perpetuating spiral of they're putting the bad things in front of you and not showing a good proportion of the good.
it's not just Facebook though.
It's everywhere.
Because
Well,
the world is terrible. People are terrible.
I mean, you can drive down the street and see the terrible. I mean, there was a posting from Spokane News the other day. It was a 9-time felon. He got released. It's all 9 times were sexual assaults, child rape, all of this stuff, and he got released. I'm like,
How?
yeah, how? And the fact that all of that shit that he did, I mean, that just speaks to how fucked up humanity is, being able to do that to a child or to a woman or even to a man.
And then go free.
And then go free. Yeah, he got to go free on his own merit because he was not fit to stand trial.
But what blows my mind with that thing is it wasn't just once.
No, 9 times. What happened
9
to the
times
3
that he was
strikes?
convicted.
Yeah.
You don't know that's how many.
Well, that's true. But it's like, what happened to the 3 strikes? Like, I see people post all the time, 24-time convicted felon, got out of prison and is back in the next day because he went and stole a car or something crap like that. And it's like,
Well, and
why bother?
That dumbass that stole a car on the same street as the court he just got let out of.
Yes, why bother?
yeah. Well, and Washington is supposed to be one of those 3 strikes states. And I mean, I've lived here off and on for most of my life now, and I see it all the time. Like you said, well beyond 3 strikes. But yet, back before weed was legalized, one little possession charge and you're locked up for 18 months. Like, what the hell? Doesn't make any sense to me at all.
It blows my mind how fucked up the legal system is and just how people can play it. But then when an honest person has to do something to defend themselves and then they get the book thrown at them, it's like, well, what the fuck? What about, Joe Schmo that just blew up a fucking gas station?
Right.
Oh, he's fine. He's good. We're just going to let him go.
Oh, well, he's sick.
Yeah.
Well, overcrowding in prisons and
That's
privately
that's a
owned
factor too.
prisons,
We could go
prisons
down
for
that.
profit.
They wouldn't have overcrowding if they would let the people out that had offenses to, some degree with marijuana. It's legal in most states now. Like, if it's legal in the state that you're incarcerated in, you should be let go.
True.
I agree, but then they lose money. But at the same time, if you're going to instantly replace all of those people.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing. Obviously, there's no shortage of people, or else we wouldn't have overcrowding in prisons.
Yeah, and I mean, the justice system is so backed up with cases. I mean, half of them are going to just fall by the wayside.
Yeah. Well, that's why, car crime in Spokane is probably the worst.
Not just car crime, but property crime in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time out here.
Well,
Because
And some of it is some stupid shit, too. I saw
about
on...
9 years back.
Ooh, what happened?
That's when they cut the budget for the property crimes investigation team.
Oh.
Well, I mean, I've had my vehicle broken into like 11 times in the 10 years I've lived here, in different vehicles every single time. It's not just one thing. And I've lived all over town in different parts, some of the best parts of town, quote unquote. My vehicle still got vandalized. Like, it's lose-lose. And, is it the increase in the transient population? Is it the increase in, meth and other drugs, with tweakers and...
But see, there's a difference between just the transient population and then the ones that are either doing hard drugs or whatever it is to continue their habit. Like, there are a lot of homeless people out here. They're fine being homeless. They're not bugging nobody. They do what they need to do to get by. And then there's the ones that
they
are...
do it legally.
Yeah. And then they're the ones that are like, well, I got to steal and pawn something so I get my next hit.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of places.
It's
That ain't
hard to
just here.
tell.
Somebody has tried siphoning gas out of his tank 3 times now. At the very least, he's nice enough to leave the gas cap behind.
Well, at least they didn't puncture a hole in your fuel tank like they did mine.
Well, I'm waiting for it to happen because A, there's never any gas in it, and B, it has an anti-siphoning valve. So you're not going to get anything out of it, but it's always empty.
Yeah. See, my Jeep sat up high enough they could just easily just drilled a hole right in it and out went all the gas.
Just cover it up with some Flexi Seal. It'll be fine.
Oh, right.
Flex tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My emotional trauma. Dark humor.
I mean, you can go anywhere and,
Yeah.
and see how bad humanity is. You know, you can just be going to the store to go get groceries. Like there was one time I went to the store, I had to go get, I think it was like spaghetti sauce and a couple other things or something like that. A guy bumped into me.
Mm-hmm.
No big deal. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
He flew off the handle. Like I didn't say anything, didn't start anything, didn't care. Like, you know, people bumped into each other, whatever. If it was intentional, then yeah, I would have probably said something.
Yeah.
He flew off the handle because I hit him and this and that and all this crap. And then his buddy came over and I fucking had it. I'm like, look, dude, if you want to throw down, I'll smash this fucking jar of spaghetti sauce in your face. It was an accident. You need to calm the fuck down. And he started getting mad. So I just grabbed the jar. I'm like, I'll fucking crack you in the store right now. And he just turned around and walked away. What was the point? People bump into, like, let's take a look at New York. Everybody walks everywhere. You know how many people you're going to fucking bump into every day? What are you going to do? Start a fight with all of them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and
Who
I
do you
mean,
think you are, Floyd Mayweather?
For me, it's an inevitability because I'm so big.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm going to bump into you.
yeah. Well, and I mean,
Because you lose track of us. You can't see us.
Well, there's that too. You know how many kids I've run into? Because I literally just can't see them.
They're out of your periffs.
They are.
well,
They're below the cloud line.
you know, what is one thing everybody knows now? It's almost like a pop culture type thing is the Karen.
Mm.
Yep. Or the Kyle.
Yeah. I mean,
Get fucked, Karen.
we have names for these people that exhibit these types of social behaviors that are so inexcusable and just
Reprehensible.
ooh, good word.
I know,
Yes.
right?
Just over the top and unnecessary
That's PBS's word of the day.
towards other people. Shit, you can almost do a PBS better, more like a National Geographic special on, you know, Karens in the wild. We've seen some. We've seen some in action. We have seen a full-on
Karens in the
Karen
wild.
with the
Dealt with a
haircut,
few.
leopard print freaking
Oh God.
tights
Karen
with the
likes to
husband
smoke
2
weed,
steps
surprisingly.
behind,
Mhm.
asking for the manager. Like,
Ooh.
it was a thing. They do
Ooh.
happen. You know, and it's just, why? You know, having worked in retail and customer service, we've all been there.
Mhm.
We've all had to deal with those types of people. And it's just, you know, I can honestly say COVID has brought out some of the worst
Oh, I agree.
in people. Like, people have never been great, but holy bloody hell.
Yeah.
I used to be pretty hot-headed, and when I'd have to return something or something wasn't right or things like that, you know, sometimes I'd go at it the wrong way. And there were times that I'd go at it the right way, but then I'd start getting the runaround, and then they'd start doing
Yes.
things to push buttons. And then
Ding,
that's
ding.
when fucking
Oh, yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you
He turns
provoked
into
it.
Kyle. Give
You
me a
did-
monster.
And then as soon as
You
it
brought this on
Yep.
yourself.
And as soon as that happens,
Yeah.
then the resolution comes. So sometimes there is a time and
Yes.
place for it, but you can't just be going at everything that way.
No.
Because you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to get anything, and you're going to get yourself in fucking trouble, or you're going to get yourself killed.
And,
Give
and
me a reason, and if I know I'm right, yeah.
people in public service, or, you know, like I said, retail, customer service, whatever, they're not your servants. They're not your slaves. They are human beings too. Their job, yes, is to assist you, but there's a difference between assisting and serving. And it's just that entitled attitude that comes across from so many people that just, grinds my gears.
Yeah.
You know what really grinds my gears?
What?
You, America.
Fuck you. Exactly. But he's not wrong.
Or it's even, you know, drivers out there.
Oh.
Those are some of the worst people out there. And
Oh, yeah.
you could be doing absolutely nothing. They cut you off, and they'll still flip you
Oh,
off.
yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Or you're in a long ass line of traffic and they're so far up your bumper you can't see their headlights. It's like, you can see. It is not my fault. I can only go as fast as the asshole in front of me.
Right.
As soon as I left work, my medication was ready at the pharmacy, so I went there, and there was a decently long line. And where I was in the line was like just this far off from like where the planter is, so I was blocking out by that much, literally the width of my bumper. And there was a lady right behind me blocking the road. And there's this old couple coming off the other side of the road, and they're trying to turn behind me. They would be able to if that car wasn't right behind me. But what I didn't expect was the older couple to start honking and pointing the finger at me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm not in the way. And at first I'm like, okay, am I seeing things? Is she yelling at the person behind me? Because they're the ones that are actually blocking the place. So I went, and she goes, yeah. And I'm like, you're 60 years old. You're giving me the bird? Are you kidding me? It's crooked. Put it down.
Got that limp bird going on.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing worse than a limp bird. People have no patience. I don't know if they just don't care enough to have any understanding, or I don't know.
Well, I
long since
wonder
lost
if,
faith in
like,
humanity.
in terms of patience and things like that, I wonder if it's stemming from the fact that everything is so on demand. There's no waiting anymore.
Instant gratification
Uh-huh.
society. I mean, don't get me wrong. I will admit I am guilty of it frequently. It's like, I want what I want it now. But the difference is I'm not going to trample on somebody else or get upset with somebody else if I don't get my way. I'm not,
A toddler.
Veruca Salt and Willy Wonka. I want it now. Okay, we'll go over it.
Is that going to be the new thing? Instead of bye Felicia, it's bye Veruca.
Yeah.
Let's make that happen.
Right?
I think it really stems from J.G. Wentworth. Because if you call 877 cash now, and you can have cash in your hand right now.
I will take that number to my grave. I don't care if I get dementia. I'll remember that.
I forget about it until someone says it, and then I'm like, oh, it's right there in my brain.
Oh, it's like the game.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, guys.
You just lost.
We all lost. And again.
Talk about humanity being shitty. You're welcome.
Was humanity as terrible when we were kids as it is now?
I don't think
No.
so, because we were able to go out until the streetlights came on and go right around the block. I don't feel that you can really do that in this day and age anymore.
Or have
You know-
we opted not to do that because we've heard so much, whereas back then we didn't hear as much? The danger wasn't as present because we didn't see the danger. It was always
It had a
there.
perception filter.
I feel like, yes, it was always there, but I don't think that it was to the extent it is now.
I think it's because of the advancements in technology.
I agree.
Because now, not only are we seeing what's going on locally
Mhm.
because we live here,
Yeah.
we're seeing what's going on all over the world. Whereas when we were kids, that was less of a thing.
Exactly.
You only got, like,
If-
what was it with Peter Jennings?
Dateline?
I saw something
60
cool.
Minutes?
60 Minutes.
I think
World
that-
News Tonight, I don't know.
That was it. That's the one.
World News Tonight.
That's how we knew what was going on in the world. It wasn't a constant, I can pick up my phone and find out what's going on over in
in
Russia.
any country that I want.
But see, I don't give a shit about what's going on in other countries. Because that's our biggest problem in the United States is we're so concerned with what is going on everywhere else, we don't look at what the fuck's going on here.
Well, it's not like we can fix anything that's going on here.
Oh, we could. We absolutely
we easily
could.
Not easily.
I
Well.
think easily.
If we could fix a lot of things.
We could fix a lot of things, but the thing is we would need a lot of people in order to do it. And yes, there are those groups of people that are willing to do the changes, but it's not enough. And
Yeah.
their views differ from the other people's views that are also willing to make change, so they can't come together. The problem is we have a segregation issue. We have a difference issue.
And it's not racial.
No,
It's
well,
monetary.
well,
It
Not
is
just-
a multitude. It
Yeah.
is monetary. It is
There are
it's
so many
gender, it
factors.
is race,
Yes.
it is money, it is or
political ideals,
Yeah.
morals,
Well, people
religion.
make a lot of money dividing people. So
I agree.
think the major drive in humanity and the number one reason why it's fucking terrible is everyone's greedy.
I mean, here's the thing: if no one else is going to look out for you, you got to look out for number one,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
That's
part
the
of the problem.
Is
But why do
no
we have
one-
that problem? Because
no one cares about their fellow man anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They don't give a shit.
Nope.
well, why
We
should
still do because, any normal, person worries about their neighbors. and I don't see my neighbor for a couple of days, I start, getting concerned. Okay, is he okay? Or is she okay? Because I haven't seen her in a couple of days. We care about other people. There are some people that, their neighbor dies and they're in there for 3 weeks because nobody fucking noticed that they were gone because nobody cares.
Or does a lot of that stem from because of how much news and information of shit that's going on? Like people are killing their boyfriends and girlfriends. And, you don't see your neighbor who has a boyfriend and all that stuff in, how many ever days. Do you start thinking...
You thought you knew the guy?
Yeah.
Well, and I mean,
or
it's...
girl.
We were talking about, the transient population. Some of them just are doing their thing. They want to be left alone. Others, they're tweaking or whatever. And when I walk to and from work, I walk through one of the not so great parts of downtown. And I never know. If someone's walking behind me, are they... coming up on me with, nefarious intent, or are they just walking to their destination? You don't know. And that's because, yes, you hear so much bad stuff. It's like, oh, they could be looking for this. They could be trying to do this. They could be doing that. Or they could be doing nothing at all. But the bad always comes to mind first.
Mm-hmm.
There's this girl that I found on TikTok. Her handle is Protected by Mar. I love what she's done with the business, but I feel like it's terrible that she has to do what she does. But she makes protection keychains for women. You can put pepper spray on it. It's got a mini little fucking taser that looks like a key fob. It's got this thing called a nightcap, which is a scrunchie you can put over your drinks so someone can't drug you. Like, I love that she is taking, these
proactive
items. She's making them pretty, so, we don't feel like we're carrying around a fucking billy club where it's, something that we can match to our purse and make us happy, but it's sad that we need to have those things.
Yeah.
I do agree that it is sad that you have to carry that.
But she makes amazing things, and I want one of her keychains.
That's why I just carry bear mace. You want to get bear maced, I said? Fuck with me.
Well, and I mean, we were literally just had this conversation last night. It's, so I have a can of pepper spray or mace, and it's just somebody like myself just trying to get to their car, but I don't know that because they're coming up on me quick. So I turn around and I spray. They weren't doing anything. But do I wait for them to get close enough and take that chance? Or
if
they shouldn't be that damn close in the first place.
Well, I mean, the sidewalks are only so big, and if he's just trying to get, to the car,
if she's walking slow and he's just trying to get around her.
Well, you get to a certain point and then you go around, just like passing a car. That's what I do. But I'm not going to be all up on your ass and then get over.
Well, but I mean, it's that, what do you do? I'm a single female
agree.
walking alone at night.
What
I get
where do you draw that line between he's walking up on me or he's just walking around me?
Yeah.
Well, what I would do is, walking, and you do take some risk waiting, but I would definitely be ready in the event that he grabbed you or something, because if he grabbed you and he was behind you, you can do... either side, or grab the gonads, or whatever it may be. Like,
now that would be your line. Your line is when he makes physical contact. Whereas
I'm doing it.
For somebody else, that line might be when he gets within 3 feet of me. I might.
Oh no, I agree. Everyone's going to have
that different bubble.
But then you run the risk of making that mistake.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's because you have to call everything into question. I can't just trust. Oh, it's probably just a fine individual like myself who means no intent or harm, who's just going about their day.
That's because harm knows no look, no style, no nothing.
Humanity sucks.
And this is where I have my phrase: possibility versus probability. Is it possible? Yes, but is it probable? What are the actual chances that the person walking up behind you is actually going to do you harm?
Depends on if they're a man or a woman sometimes.
But that's just it.
It could be a tweaking female. I see those more than I do the males sometimes.
Fucking people are out of their goddamn mind.
And bitches be crazy.
Oh,
Let's be honest.
The probability, the actual number is probably small, but never zero.
I could walk to and from my car every day and never have an incident. It's most likely what's going to happen. But that one time, I'm not prepared.
And how much of that is a biased viewpoint just simply based on the amount of media that you consume?
It's a definite influencing factor.
No, for me it's history.
Well, there's that too.
That brings in a different...
I carry a knife because I'm not going to be a victim again.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's a whole other kettle of fish because bad things happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so much crime, so much hate, so much destruction among the common man. I mean, I've been harassed just going to get gas. Didn't talk to anybody, didn't look at anybody, and I still get harassed because of the color of my skin. I was putting in gas in Hilliard. That's, first issue there. But there was a bus stop across the street from the gas station. There was, people sitting there waiting to go to work. And then there was this one tweaked out chick waiting at the bus stop. She's yelling across the street because I'm brown. And she's like, hey, brown boy, this and that. And I'm like, I look over there and I'm like, you have some more. I finish pumping my gas and then I leave.
I said, and it's not that we're jaded or cynical or bitter.
Oh, I'm fucking jaded and bitter.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, we are. But it doesn't mean we're wrong.
I'm turning green. I'm so jaded.
That's just from all the weed.
That's called faded.
Yeah.
I mean, we see how much just racial divide that I feel has increased in the past 4, 5, 6 years. Like, I felt like we were on track for better things, and then all hell broke loose. It is wild to see how much in reverse we have gone. And I also feel like the pandemic didn't help because everybody's paranoid as all fuck now.
Truth.
Well, we're so polarized. I mean, I know that's a big topic for you, but we can't even come together on a health issue like getting vaccinated or wearing masks. It's, something else to fight over and be terrible to each other about. And that's why I say the pandemic has just brought out the worst between that and the political atmosphere, which we don't talk politics, but, it has been a factor though that I think has also, contributed to making that more obvious.
Or is it just simply entropy?
You and your big words.
It's the shortest word that he has said tonight.
Is it just simply chaos? We are seeing the world inevitably go into chaos.
For a while there, when a lot of the events were happening, lots of the school shootings and random acts of, violence and bombings and things like that, it kind of felt like we were going towards some really bad shit. It was just like every week something new. And it's for what?
Murder hornets.
It all happened when the world ended in 2012.
That's the thing, though, is like we've talked about the year 2020 and how 100 years from now they're going to make movies about the year 2020,
just as
starring Nicolas Cage,
Junior,
300. But even then, it's like there was just it felt like chaos. It felt like somebody was just rolling a D20 and hitting a nat 1 every single time.
Yeah, I feel like
nerd alert.
I feel like the movie would have Keanu Reeves in it, but actual Keanu Reeves, because that motherfucker doesn't age.
Because he is RC Christian.
I mean, you make jokes, but
if you don't know who RC Christian is, go listen to our Conspiracy Theories podcast.
Wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't. Now, you talk about the worst of humanity. Let's talk about the best of humanity. Keanu Reeves is, from what all I understand,
he's a legend, man.
He's like a really cool ass motherfucker.
And he lives like a normal person.
Yep. Gives away his money.
He doesn't want to be all flaunty and be one of those rich assholes.
Like genuinely a decent person.
Yeah. Who's apparently married to Winona Ryder.
Seriously?
Is he?
They got married in a movie that they did together. So in the eyes of God, he said that he is married to her. And she agrees. So I don't know what the deal is between them two, but yes. Yeah, and I forget what movie it was, but they got married, and under the eyes of God, they are married. And apparently they used a real priest in it, so he feels that it's very official and things like that.
I mean...
him and his method acting, man.
That's committing to the role.
I suppose so. All these years later. Let's give that a whoa.
I love how it's the first thing that pops up. I haven't even finished spelling his name.
It's because Google listens to you.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
Make PP bigger.
Yeah.
Don't, she'll get caught in a tornado.
Keanu Reeves says that he has been married to Winona Ryder for 30 years.
Damn.
No wonder why he's broke.
Shit.
She's a kleptomaniac.
Klepto.
Does it say when they Or what?
Well, 30 years ago, wouldn't that have been? Trying to think of what movie that would have been.
Point Break.
Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh.
See, he's a vampire. That's why he doesn't age. Keanu Reeves married under the eyes of God to Winona Ryder. Wow, I learned something new every day.
You can thank my smart alerts for that. I get the dumbest shit, I swear.
The more you know. Another flashback.
Oh.
I mean, yes, one would say if there's bad people, there has to be good people. They're just so few and far between, I feel.
But all people aren't inherently bad.
Or are they? Nature versus nurture.
That's true. It's all in perception. Can anybody see the good in the worst human being? I'm sure that they can, but that's perception.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where our discussions usually inevitably take a turn. Is how can we?
Is it a right turn?
Yeah. No, we've never gotten that heated.
No fisticuffs?
No.
Mm-mm.
No. Not usually.
Mm-mm.
No. One of my theories is as the world devolves into chaos, as entropy takes place, things become more polarized. Things that divide us that would normally never be connected to other things are now being polarized. My decision to do a certain thing should not reflect my other values for these other topics.
Mm-hmm.
But it's already automatically assumed. And as that polarization grows, our perception of that polarization will also grow. Because we are going to make assumptions off of what we perceive out of people.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, it's not a black or white situation, but rather shades of gray. Where you may be black on 3 issues, but white on the other 2. I'm black on 1 issue, but white on the other 4. We actually do have common ground.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't take the time to find it.
You just see the one bad thing.
Automatically assume the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And as we automatically assume the worst in everybody else, they're assuming the worst in us. And now we're assuming the worst in everything.
And you know what they say when you assume?
You make out of an ass of you and me.
But
I think Abraham Lincoln put it better. When you look for the bad in people, you most certainly shall find it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that ideology,
that
you can place that on damn near any aspect of person, race, gender, any of that stuff, because
Beliefs.
stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
Stereotypes that have been in place for 50 plus, 100 plus years. And some people are mentally conditioned to think that way because that's all they know.
Yeah.
And
nurture.
And they won't alter their perceptions because they don't know how, or they don't think they should have to.
Or they've never been introduced to anything else.
Or it's an experience.
Mm-hmm.
You've experienced the opposite, so you have that firsthand knowledge of what the worst is. Therefore, it is a present and real danger for you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to assume it in your other encounters.
Nature.
And when you start looking at things from that perspective, things are no longer black and white. They're colored.
I think humanity is going back to primitive time.
Maybe that's not a bad thing.
Everybody's tribing up and separating.
As with anything, there is a life cycle.
Mm-hmm.
What if our life cycle as humanity is reaching a stage where it's time to regress?
Fucking good.
What do the guidestones say?
No,
I'll have to check and get back to you on that.
I mean, it's starting to fall into place.
Well, just with anything, I mean, if you look at human life, you start as a child, you grow, and once you hit a certain age, you start shrinking and
Decay.
shitting your pants again.
Yes, no.
You lose your teeth.
You lose your teeth. You lose your ability
It's
to
the
speak.
space's riddle.
It is. So
What has 4
what
legs
if
in the
humanity-
in the morning,
2
2
legs in the
noon,
afternoon
and 3
and
legs
3
in the
legs at
afternoon.
night. A human. You start on 4,
Yeah.
you grow on 2, and go to 3.
Mm-hmm. But as with anything, what if humanity had a set life cycle?
Yeah.
What if we're starting to enter that stage of, okay, it's time to regress? We were hoping that at the mid we were going to be somewhere else, but we didn't quite make it. So it's time to put in the next batch.
Yeah.
Time to
Master
introduce the
reset.
poison and
Master reset.
reset the cycle.
Delete your sim. Start over.
We broke the matrix. yeah, there's part of me that says it probably wouldn't be such a bad thing. But there are good people out there that do good
And
consistently.
Yeah, we got 4 right here.
And that's the point. That's the point. Is we're so conditioned to see that bad and assume that that bad is present because it can be, that we fail to see the good.
I mean, I do a lot of good, and sometimes while doing the good, I'll think about the good that I am doing, and I think about the people that are receiving the good. So I do a lot of children's donations and things like that. So I was doing clothes for a while, and I'm going and buying all these clothes and everything just to give them away. And I'm like, man, I am fortunate that I didn't have to be in the circumstances that some of these kids are. It makes me quite sad. And there were times when I was doing the shopping and I'm like, I got to get out of the store because I'm about to break down. And it sucks because there's a lot of good in those kids, but the situations that they're in or are going to be in are going to alter their perception, and they're going to change. And ultimately, some of them are going to go down the wrong path. And it sucks.
Yeah. Well, and it's, yes, you try and do good and you give back and you volunteer and you share when and what you can. And that's all very, very well and good. But at what point does it feel like it really still doesn't matter because nothing's changing, nothing's getting better? Does it feel like you're just running on a wheel? It's hard. I mean, that's kind of the trap I fell into because I was all, constantly volunteering my time and doing all these things for all these causes. And it's like, but nothing's changing. Nothing's getting better. And it was very disheartening. And I just kind of had to take a step back and be like, but if even just 1 out of 10 people are bettered by it or find help in it or whatever that looks like, it's still worth it.
Well, that's the thing is you're thinking global, but acting local. And you are making a difference to the people that you have helped, whether if you're, handing out, hot food or, donating things, the people that are receiving that, you are making a change for them. And that's better than nothing. That's better than most people will do in their entire life.
Yeah.
That's
I like the way you said that.
Yeah. That's like donating for kids is like, yes, I know you're still going to be in a bad situation. These clothes aren't going to help, but at least you're going to have, hopefully articles of clothes that kids won't pick on you about. Cause I know kids do that. And that's bullshit. Kids are the fucking worst.
Oh God. Kids are absolutely horrible.
Kids are the fucking worst.
Childhood
You heard
trauma.
You heard what my toddler calls me.
I did.
Bitch.
No. Cow. But actually, we were talking about this the other day, about school shootings and how that's kind of been one thing that's, I feel, has really spawned from our era and our generation.
Big time.
And why? What is the cause of that? When I was in school,
It's easy.
Well, we performed a play and we toured it around all the districts about
It's accessible.
a kid that had done a shooting and he's haunted by the ghosts of his victims. And it kind of does flashbacks through his life, Is it because he went hunting with his dad? Is it because he played video games? Is it because he was bullied? It could be so many different factors. There's no one root cause. But at the same time, I think it's fair to say bullying is a major factor in that.
Huge factor.
And even if it's not the kids going after the bullies, it's you didn't stop it. You didn't help it. You were nowhere to be found. You're just as guilty as the people involved. And I feel like that's what drives a lot of these people. They just feel like they have no other choice, no other way out. Or it's, like you said, they're done. They don't want to, this is the last time. This is the last straw.
They feel if they get bullied one more time, they won't be able to survive it.
Yeah.
Well, and there's are extreme cases of bullying where kids
That
barely
has actually
survive.
happened.
Yeah. Or don't.
Or suicide rate among young people.
The ones who have bullied in high school, how many joined fraternities afterwards?
Yep.
How many people have died in hazing?
Well, and then
Yeah.
they become bosses of employees that are. It's a continuous cycle in their life.
Because it's time to suck today's dick.
You take the school shooter, but we've actually made literal movies like what was the one with Michael
Bowling for Columbine?
No.
Michael Moore?
No. Was it Michael Sheen?
Charlie Sheen?
Talking
Martin
about
Sheen?
falling down.
Yeah, there we go. She knew what I was talking about.
The one where he just
The big old bag of guns and he's
loses his shit and just decides to start. He wants.
he's basically
breakfast
a
at
school
McDonald's.
shooter. He's just grown up.
In this day and age, it's easily accessible. It's easier to deal with. And that's why part of the reason why I'm sure kids do it. But the other thing is there are people in power, let's say at schools, that should be doing that. I don't know how many times that I was being bullied or my brother was being bullied was reported, did absolutely fucking nothing because they can't do anything until something happened. It's like, that is the worst fucking backwards ass policy I have ever heard in my life.
That is not prevention at all.
That is not. Yeah.
You can't say you have zero tolerance.
When people are so happy or here's a situation. When I moved from Nebraska to California, it was a major culture shock and kids were very unkind. I was in 6th grade. Okay, so that's already a bad, awkward time as it is.
Especially for a girl.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make friends, but the harder I tried, the more people made fun of me. And so I was getting bullied and threatened and everything else. And I'm like, I don't understand. So I report it, and the principal comes into class, pulls me up to the front in front of everybody.
No.
That is the
and
worst.
says,
Snitches get
hey,
stitches.
Everybody, stop picking on her.
You can't do that. That is so bad.
Oh,
it makes shit so
I
much
had to
worse.
hide in the bathroom. I had to run
Yeah.
home. I couldn't go to any extracurriculars because people would corner me and threaten me with weapons. And it was horrible. And it followed me from elementary up into junior high and carried me until I left. And it's that, okay, they tried to do something.
But they did the wrong thing because they're fucking idiots.
Yeah. Once again, is that where all of this badness is starting, in those formidable years as kids?
Well, I mean, you're spending how much time a day in schools with other people, molding and all of that stuff. I mean, you don't know exactly what you're getting.
Now,
I feel like the world that you're in high school imprints in your mind, and that's your perception of what real life is going to be like.
Well, you're growing and changing, and you're starting to become
and that's how you're seeing
like
other
an
people
adult.
as mean and dangerous.
Are these uniquely era-specific problems?
No.
Or have these problems already existed just in different forms?
I feel that these problems have existed for a very long time in different forms, just like the evolution of school shootings. When I was a kid or in high school, that wasn't really a thing.
It was like Columbine, and that was it.
Yeah. But I mean, it wasn't like every week or every month like it has been. It was, if you had a problem, you beat the shit out of the kid.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, that was it.
You shook hands.
You shook hands, that was the end of it.
Sometimes you actually became friends.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how it's handled. Was it any better? Yeah, people weren't dying for the most part, but it's still not a great way to solve it.
No, but
It's a less permanent way.
Yeah.
there is something to be said for
A good old fashioned ass beating?
the art of conflict. Maybe you do just need to fucking fight it out.
Screaming is cathartic.
But you can't do that
Scream
anymore.
while hitting someone.
No, because it's assault.
And
fucking
that's
everything
where
else.
part of the problem lies, is nobody has an outlet anymore.
I feel like you should be able to go somewhere, like to a gym, and agree to fucking bare knuckle fight somebody.
Oh,
If
like
they take
UFC?
sense-
Just
Why
go,
not?
just go take a
Rule
fucking
number one,
karate
we don't
class.
talk about Fight Club.
No, bare knuckle. Did
No,
you bring
but-
your soap?
Bob's
It's like-
saggy tits.
It's like, okay, so you and I have a conflict. We agree to meet up. We both sign contracts that say,
Huh.
I'm not going to sue you, you're not going to sue me. And then, we just fuck each other up.
Pistols at dawn. It's just like an old
Why
fucking
can't you
duel.
do that if you can sign a fucking 45-page waiver to go get the shit beat out of you and put till near death in a haunted house? Why can't I sign a fucking waiver to beat the shit out of you?
Right?
I mean, I don't see why that wouldn't be a valid thing, but at what point do you take
Brad Pitt
that?
had the right idea.
Well, how is that not just fucking dueling, just with extra steps?
Yeah, see, the world went downhill when we outlawed dueling.
No, the world went downhill when we started making killing not okay.
Killing hasn't been okay for a long time, honey.
If you
Do you
were
forget
good
how
enough
old
at
he
it,
is?
it is.
Talk about vampires.
I'm just saying, when you needed to solve a problem, you just killed the other motherfucker.
Oh, that's true. And I mean, that's kind of what the world's going back towards, but for stupider reasons. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you fucking cut and flip me off on the freeway, I'm going to shoot you.
Well,
Yeah.
that was the thing,
Hashtag the
though,
Clinton
is
family.
the aristocracy were the ones that had the training with the weapons, so it was the cleanest way to end arguments without having to do a full-on war.
It was the silent but deadly fart of humanity.
So maybe you just stay out of the way and just don't even bother. Just let it go and walk away.
Yeah.
Pretty much how I live my life. It's like, yeah, I would love change. Can I make change? Yes, but I need more people, more power, or more money, or all three. I ain't got any of those, so I really can't. But I can make changes in some people's lives by doing what I want to do. I'm not doing it for any other reason than I want to.
Do you know what the most conflicting thought that I feel like I have as a human being?
Boxers or briefs?
Yeah.
I'm not a boy. I don't care.
Causes chafing.
Which one?
Yes.
Anyway, before I get way too high and forget my point. Shh. Being rude.
Man, dude,
Not
we
yet.
haven't had a brain fart in a long
I
time.
know, it's because we've been smoking sativa.
Yeah.
That person on the side of the road with a broken down car. Might, as the good person that I feel like I am, I want to stop and help them.
Mm-hmm.
But as the jaded victim, of crime,
Exactly.
I have to assume the worst of this person who may just be stranded and needing help. But because they saw me drive past, because I went with my gut reaction of don't stop, they are now thinking the worst of me. So then it makes
But you assumed the worst of them first.
But it makes me feel bad for assuming in the first place. And then it makes me want to turn around, but then I'm like, no.
And that is where the divide lies, is you have to make that decision between am I going to assume the worst and protect myself against that possibility, or am I going to look at the probability and say
It's probably just someone with a flat who needs
exactly.
And see, that's what I do, is I'll gauge the situation. I've pulled over. I've helped people. I've pulled people out of a car that's on fire. But I assess the situation. Like, I've passed people that are broken down all the time. I look at the car. I look at the person. I look at aspects of that. I'm like, okay, if I go help, am I going to get fucked over, or do they really need help?
Are they on a cell phone? If they're on a cell phone, they're probably calling for help.
Is it a single person? Is it
Or
a
is it
group?
Exactly. Am I outnumbered?
That is a factor.
Well, and I am a single female. I am probably not going to stop and help somebody with a broken down car because I don't know shit about cars, and I'm probably just going to be in the way.
Yeah.
Well, way to make it a generalization.
But
I know how to do things.
But there's the other side of things too, where it's like, you're a single female, it's a single male.
Oh, shit, I thought we were married.
Or for me, am I going to look like a creep if I stop and try and help this lady?
Yeah, exactly.
You're just trying to pass her on the sidewalk, but she maces you instead.
Right. It comes full circle.
If it's coming in a full circle, you got
Pearl
problems.
necklace.
I whip it around like a lasso, and I just spew cum all over the fucking place.
Helicopter.
It's like a helicopter.
Helicopter dick. Oh, helicopter dick.
Pudding.
Aw, Dean Winchester.
So one of the things I was thinking about in terms of humanity and just seeing how tech is evolving and how video recording and all that stuff is evolving. How many people these days have dash cams? Exactly.
This guy right here.
Yep.
I mean, it's getting to the point where everyone should pretty much have a dash cam for how much outlandish shit goes on. People lie when they get into accidents or place blame elsewhere, and I mean,
Or who knows what you can capture.
Yeah.
And now that brings up a very good point. I bought a dash cam because at the time I was on the road. That was my job. I was literally driving from store to store every day, multiple times a day. All right. And at the time, what were we watching? We were watching those dash cam YouTube videos.
Watching cops?
No, the YouTube dash cam
Ukrainian,
crashes.
Russian
Yeah.
dash cam crash
Those are
cam,
awesome.
Yeah.
which are amazing to watch. But psychologically, I was like, man,
Someone experienced that.
I
Some
might
regular
need
person.
to get myself a dash cam to protect myself in case something should happen.
Yeah.
Or at minimum, I catch some really cool shit on dash cam and I make $1 million. I don't care. Either way, how many times have I actually been in a car accident?
0.
Not true.
Oh, 0 since I've known you.
Exactly. How many times have I been in a car accident where there's been enough significant injury that anybody knew about it?
I don't know.
Never.
I was almost in a car accident today.
You know, there's been a lot of close calls, but I've never been in a situation that would directly require that dash cam. Yet I still bought one anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because I prepared for the possibility.
Oh, yeah.
Knowing the probability.
And I mean, with how much, lying and everything else that goes on, you kind of need it because it goes back to something that we all do and we've talked about before. CYA.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Look out for number one.
That's right.
Well,
And that brings us right back to humanity is garbage.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to, because if you don't, and that other person is better at it than you are,
Survival of the
You
fittest.
lose.
you are no longer innocent until proven guilty. You are guilty until you can prove yourself innocent.
And good fucking luck.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then, dash cams are one thing, but I've also thought about body cams.
Yeah.
With how much crazy shit goes on in human interaction, whether it be with, law enforcement, person of power, or just somebody that's in the store.
Mm-hmm.
Like, anybody can say whatever the fuck they want, and it can be turned into a huge ass deal. And whether you did or didn't do it,
Is irrelevant.
no, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I was thinking about is why not? Why not get a body cam? Because it's CYA, and it's sad that we live in a world where we feel that that's something that's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not, I want to capture everything I'm seeing and experiencing. It's, I need to make sure I'm protected. In the
I
event
might
that
need
something
this
goes down.
someday.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at, you have to question, we all know what happened with the George Floyd incident, and had it not been recorded and as widespread and shared as it was, would
anything have happened?
would that have gone down the way it did?
Yeah.
They had the footage.
Would we have ever known?
Yeah. And you start seeing more and more and more of these types of things. And, had that person not whipped out their phone and started recording that incident.
In the end, we're all fucked.
Pretty
So,
much.
You might as well just smoke weed. And
A book
live
about
your
hope.
life. In the end, we're all fucked.
Yep. Pretty much.
Barnes and Noble this season.
What would it take to get the change going? Like, what do you think is the biggest factor in our tech-driven lives that prevent the change or continue the fear? Because, obviously, media,
A
of
solar
course.
flare.
Purpose.
Common enemy.
We need a purpose. One of the things that I have theorized is that the answer to the ultimate question, why are we here?
What is the meaning of life?
It's not about that. Why do we ask the question? Because we desire purpose. We want to feel like our existence mattered.
With that being said, and if that was truly the outlook of all the people, you think that they would want to make the change now to have, the purpose to pave the way for future people's purposes, for future generations, because that is ideally what the human race is here for, is for evolving and building and growing, that you should want to pave the way for future success and leave your mark in that way.
Isn't that what every person already thinks they're doing, though? They think
Fuck
they're
no.
standing up for what's right.
Hell no.
No, but in their mind, they're standing up for something, that
I
they
call
believe is
bullshit
right.
on that. I do not think that everybody thinks that that's their purpose, that that's the way that they live. I call bullshit on that. I know that there are people that do, but I don't think everyone does it.
It's a shade of gray. Some people are devout Christians. Some people only go to church on Easter and maybe on Christmas. Some people go to every single mass and then some. Doesn't make one any less than the other. They're varying degrees. You can apply that same spectrum to any
Yeah,
factor.
absolutely. There are people that vote. There are people that don't vote. There are people that vote only on certain things that will directly affect them, but may not matter to anybody else.
I don't vote on school levies. Why? Because I don't have fucking kids. I don't give a shit about your kids.
Fuck your kids.
I could watch kids falling off bikes all day.
I don't give a
Right?
fuck about your
I don't
kids.
give a fuck about your kids. So I'm not going to vote on school levies because I don't give a fuck. I don't vote on local shit.
It doesn't affect you.
So it really doesn't affect me in the end run.
Well, a huge example of that was I was out trimming trees in the front yard, and some dude running for, it wasn't governor, but running for some official position was walking through the neighborhood and handing out flyers. But I was surprised it was actually the guy and his assistant doing it versus, some dipshit handing out flyers.
Intern.
Yeah.
We still told him we don't vote.
Yeah, and he was, trying to talk me into it and all of that stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm like, this is what it boils down to. What are you yourself going to do for me? The common working Joe that, does all the things right, pays all my bills and all that shit. What are you going to do for me exactly? And he had no answer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to do shit. You're going to use that position to make your life better and not do fuck all for anybody else because you're doing this for you and your family. Just
you're
as
advancing your career.
Exactly. You have an agenda. It is not to help the people. Not saying that all people or politicians are like that, and I'm not going to get too political about that, but everyone's got an agenda. And 95% of the time, I'd say it's for themselves and nobody else.
Or for their kind. They're thinking that they're helping their people.
They're like-minded
people like them.
Right.
And inadvertently, they are part of that group, so
that's what I meant by everyone feels like they're doing what they think is right.
They do.
Because there's always going to be like-minded people, so you think you're doing what's right.
So,
that's what I was getting at.
Yeah. People are terrible.
People are terrible.
People are the worst people.
Welcome to the episode. Where have you been?
Smoking weed.
It all goes back to weed.
I think the world would be a better place if everything did go back to weed.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you're listening on iTunes, please give us a 5-star review. It'd really help us out. We're just a homegrown podcast looking to have some fun. And if you want to be on Hideology, submit a topic on hideologypodcast.com or connect with us on your favorite social platforms for latest news and updates. See you in a few weeks.
For my curly hairs, rubbing cannabis lotion on my cock. I like smoking pot a lot.